and all glory to the Father. In Jesus' name.
Thank you very much, Madam Hero. That sweet prayer. So for the Muslim prayer, I ask all of us to read the Al-Fatiha, and so we actually establish a sense of unity and telepathy that exists in the Labour movement. Al-Fatiha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. So I call on the Acting Commissioner of Labour to lead us through from this point.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Silan. Please stay with me. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Vice President, Ministers, present, well wishes, the diplomatic community, the Fourth Estate, all protocols observed. Officially, we want to welcome you all to the Maiden National Labour Conference 2025, and we also want to extend our gratitude to our well wishes and supporters, sponsors, and donors, both far and wide. Thank you so very much. A round of applause for all of us. Thank you. You are welcome. You are heartily welcome. Wherever you're getting us from, far and wide, international, you are welcome. Whatever platform you're using, you are welcome to the Maiden National Labour Conference 2025. Having said that, we want to have time of statement, and I want to urge our speakers to limit the statements within 3 minutes. Today is a very big day. We have an agenda set already. The conference will kickstart immediately after the opening by the Vice President. On that note, permit me to welcome the representative from the Seattle Labour Congress to make a statement for 3 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, Labour Congress, please.
Good morning once again. Good morning, Honorable Vice President. Good morning, government ministers here present, the diplomatic and media, ladies and gentlemen. Labor market, as is today, stand at the crossroad of an unprecedented era, defined by rapid technological advancement, digital transformation, and the urgent need for a just, inclusive transition. The future of work is not a distant concept. It is unfolding right before us, reshaping industries, redefining skills, and challenging us to ensure that progress leaves no one behind. This is the new third order that we all must confront in our attempt to reshape the future of work. Therefore, a national conference, which is the first of its kind in Sierra Leone, is more than welcome, and its theme, shaping the future of work, innovation, digital transformation, and just transition, is carefully choosing to reflect the current dynamics within the labor market, not only in Sierra Leone, but the world over. Mr. Chairman, permit me to state that this era of technological innovation, which has brought enormous benefits in the labor market, has also brought with it immeasurable disruptions in jobs and pattern of labor relations. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, innovation is the driving force behind the future of work. Artificial intelligence, automation, and the internet are revolutionizing how we produce, how we consume, how we communicate, and how we collaborate. While technology creates new opportunity, some have fear for job displacement. This is apparent. The key in all this lies in adaptation. Creating lifelong learning opportunities must become the norm and not the exception. Government, business, educational institutions must collaborate to skill with skill, workforces ensuring that employees thrive in an evolving landscape. Mr. Chairman, the second point to note here is that digital transformation is accelerating at breakneck speed. Remote work, gig economy, and digital platform have redefined traditional employment. While these efforts offers flexibility and global opportunity, it also raises concern about job security, workers' rights, mental well-being. This is where tripartite structure must align itself to developing policies to strike a balance within the labor market framework, embracing digital tools while safeguarding fair wages, social protection, and work life. Policies must evolve in protecting workers in non-traditional employment, ensuring that the digital economy is equitably and sustainable. The third component, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, that I must mention here today is our quest to reshape the future of work in the imperative just transition. As we innovate, we cannot ignore the human cost. Automation may replace certain jobs, particularly in manufacturing and routine-based sectors. A just transition must ensure that workers in declining industries are supported through retraining programs, social safety nets, and new job creation in green and tech-driven sectors. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, climate change adds another layer to be discussed in reshaping the future. The shift to a green economy must be inclusive, provide opportunities for mineral mining, factory workers, and others to transit into renewable energy, circular economy, and sustainable agriculture. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, the aforementioned three variables in reshaping the future of work could be adequately put in place through collaborative and inclusive approach. No single entity can navigate this transformation alone. Business must invest in their workforce. Governments must enact forward-thinking policies. Education must redesign curriculum for future work. And workers must embrace a mindset of continuous growth. Together, we can build a future where innovation, price, prosperity, digital tools empower rather than exclude, and progress is shaped by all. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to conclude by stating that future of work is not determined, it is ours to shape. Let us commit to a pattern where technology serves humanity, where no worker is left behind, and his rights are guaranteed, and where progress both groundbreaking and just. I thank you all.
Thank you, Brother Max Swante from the Southern Labour Congress. Indeed, it's groundbreaking. And this is just the genesis of the transformative agenda by the Minister himself, Mr. Mohamed Laman Shwari. It's a marathon, and we are hopeful that at the end of the day it will be successful. Can you please give a round of applause for the Southern Labour Congress? Away from that, I want to welcome the Southern Employers Federation to make a statement, please. Okay, we have a representative. All right, thank you very much, dear partners. Let us welcome all the way from Abuja, Nigeria, the International Labour Organization, representative, Vanessa Pala. She's traveled all the way. Welcome, ma'am. Thank you. Round of applause, please.
Thank you so much. Solidarity. Forward. Ever. Where are the labor unionists in the room? Thank you so much, ladies. Let me take this opportunity to recognize the Vice President of Sierra Leone, also my Minister of Employment, social security. I also want to recognize the leadership, Labour Congress, as well as the Employers Federation. And to acknowledge ambassadors in our midst, representatives of our UN sister agencies, and members from the various government ministry departments. I'm mindful of the 3 minutes that I have, so allow me to please stand on the already established protocol. It is indeed an honor for the International Labour Organization to be part of this maiden conference. And I want to really emphasize the benefit, the importance of social dialogue. Because without social dialogue and platforms that are created for the government, the employers, and the workers' organization to sit together and dialogue on matters that affect the day-to-day lives of the workers, as well as the needs of the enterprises, we will not be able to achieve lasting solutions, and will not even have an opportunity to create solutions for the challenges that my colleague from the Labour Federation also spoke about. And I also want to take this opportunity to really thank the government of Sierra Leone, through the leadership of the minister, for really creating a platform and really convening this maiden conference as an opportunity dialogue, opportunity to listen to one another, opportunity to understand the challenges that we are experiencing, and most importantly, to collectively design the solutions that we can collectively address. So I'm looking forward to the outcome of this conference, and we stand ready as the International Labour Organization to support all our constituencies in really achieving some of the recommendations that will come out of this important. At the heart of this maiden conference lies a powerful truth. There cannot be decent work without dialogue, no growth without justice, and no peace without respect workers' rights. And I also want to acknowledge the journey that we have walked with the country in terms of reviewing the labor legislation, because we wanted to make sure that the labor laws are aligned to international labor standards, but also to make sure that they reflect and they address the context and the realities that the workers are experiencing in Sierra Leone. And this conference arrives at a very opportune and critical time. Our labor force faces many challenges under development, informality, and so forth and so on. Yet within these challenges lies many opportunities. And shaping this future of work presents us a very opportune moment for us to articulate what, as Sierra Leone, we see as imperative in shaping this future of work. The future of work that we want, the future of work that we will direct, and not one that is imposed on us. So I do look forward to the dialogue and the conversation in that regard. We must also recognize the importance of sustaining our enterprises. Jobs are created by the private sector, and therefore the private sector requires a conducive environment to facilitate those jobs, to create those jobs, to maintain those jobs, as well as opportunities for those with entrepreneurial skills and abilities to be able to create jobs. And most importantly, to ensure that we extend decent work coverage to workers in the informal economy. We know that a lot of our workers here are operating in the informal economy. And we know that the informal economy is one of those sectors where we see a lot of deficit as far as the decent work agenda is concerned, where there is no protection, there is no access to occupational safety and health. There are no opportunities to dialogue and engage on fundamental principles and rights at work. And I want to really acknowledge the work that we have done with my colleague and the support that we continue to provide to NASIP, for example, to extend social protection to workers in the informal economy. Ladies and gentlemen, we must also recognize as well that we need to be mindful of the digitization that is taking over the world, the artificial intelligence that is taking over the world. We cannot ignore, we cannot avoid, but we can only be part of it so that it does not overwhelm and it does not dictate us to a direction that will disrespect workers' rights as well as limit the opportunity for workers to enjoy their rights. As we deliberate, let us action and reflect our shared commitment to build a labor market that is inclusive and fair, to support enterprise growth while upholding decent work standards, to empower women and youth through the access to opportunities, as well as to ensure that no worker is invisible, that no voice ignored. Let this maiden conference mark the beginning of sustained cooperation, encouraging action and meaningful reform. Together, through dialogue, commitment, and solidarity, we can shape a future where work is not a burden, but a source of dignity, purpose, and progress. Social dialogue is the bridge, jobs are the goal, and workers' rights are the foundation. Solidarity.
What a progressive statement. Thank you, Madam Vanessa Para from the ILO. Indeed, the future of work is bright. We can now see the light at the end of the tunnel. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to go over Asia from the diplomatic community and respect for international cooperation. Permit me to welcome HE Ambassador Wang Cheng for the People's Republic of China to make a statement, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Your Excellency, Vice President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Dr. Mohamed Yurdi Diallo, Honorable Minister of Employment, Labor and Social Security, Mr. Mohamed Ronald Borre, distinguished guests from the Labor Congress, promost chambers, private sectors, and academics, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's a great pleasure to be here at this opening ceremony of the National Labor Conference. Tomorrow is May Day, the International Labor Day. We Chinese people firmly believe that hard work creates happiness, and labor is the most glorious. So let me begin by extending best wishes and paying the highest tribute to all workers who have contributed to our better life in Sierra Leone, China, and the world at large. I also would like to take this opportunity to express my warm congratulations to Minister Sawari and your colleagues on successfully organizing this maiden National Labor Conference. This is not just a gathering to honor the contributions of laborers, but also to build consensus and jointly inject new momentum into Sierra Leone's prosperity and progress. This conference will also provide an opportunity to review the achievements you have got and to plan what you will do in human capital development among the big five with changes for promoting transformative development under the leadership of His Excellency President Julius Malapio. Ladies and gentlemen, China is a long-term and time-honored partner of Sierra Leone in economic and social development and employment promotion. Through our joint efforts during the last 5 decades since we established our diplomatic ties in 1971, China now is the biggest trade partner of Sierra Leone and the main source of foreign investment. And our economic and trade cooperation face new important opportunities. Last year, His Excellency President Julius Malapio visited China twice, reached important consensus with President Xi Jinping, and provide strategic guidance for our bilateral relations in the next stage. We look forward to working closely with Sierra Leone to make our practical cooperation more fruitful, including closer collaboration in the area of employment, labor, and social security on the following: creating more jobs. The Chinese companies in Sierra Leone presently employ more than 10,000 local people. We want to see more investments here and more job opportunities. We also encourage the Chinese companies to develop a localization strategy so as to better benefit Sierra Leoneans and support Sierra Leone in enhancing industrialization and self-driven development capabilities. The second, establishing good industrial relations. The Chinese government always asks Chinese companies overseas to run their businesses legally and observe local laws and regulations. We are ready to work together with the ministry and other relevant departments to do more work to facilitate this work, including hold a roundtable or workshop on policy briefing, policy introduction, advocacy, and explanation. 3. Promoting human capital development. Over the past 20 years, the Chinese government has provided scholarships to more than 1,800 Sierra Leonean students and invited almost 8,000 Sierra Leoneans for short-term training or exchanges in China. Last year in October, together with the Ministry of Employment, Labor and Social Security, we sent 25 participants to China for training in installation and use of solar energy equipment. Now they are playing active role in Sierra Leone's energy production and transition. We will continue to do so. We welcome more Sierra Leonean students to study in China, bring advanced technology and experience back, and contribute for Sierra Leone's development. Fourth, strengthening exchanges and mutual learning. As the biggest developing country with a population of 1.4 billion, China actively brings into full play the potential ability and value of each individual and promotes the people's all-round development so as to provide powerful labor and intellectual support for China's modernization. We are willing to establish cooperative relations with Sierra Leone, both bilaterally and multilaterally, to share experience and strengthen exchange in this regard. Together, we can foster an open, fair, and transparent business environment to stimulate market vitality, inject more certainty for sustainable growth in today's challenging world, and achieve human development. In closing, I wish this conference a resounding success. May Sierra Leone thrive in peace and prosperity, and may the friendship between China and Sierra Leone endure for generations. I thank you all.
Thank you, Ambassador Wan Chen. Let me say Sheshe. Thank you. I hope I'm good with that. All right. Away from that, please help me welcome. Volunteerism is key, and it's an engine when it comes to the business of employment. Please permit me to welcome a representative from the Voluntary Service Overseas to make a statement for 3 minutes. VSO. A round of applause, please.
Honorable Vice President, Minister of Employment, Labor and Social Security, Diplomatic Corps, distinguished guests, I bring you greetings from Voluntary Service Overseas Sierra Leone and Global. Voluntary Service Overseas has been in operation in Sierra Leone for over 60 years, and our work focuses mainly on education, health, and livelihoods. With our work at VSO, we create the desired future with value through our volunteering for development approach. VSO Volunteers for Development approach focuses on creating a change by working with local communities, partners, and volunteers to identify challenges, co-create solutions, and implement sustainable development programs. Over the years, Voluntary Service Overseas has provided strategic technical support to the Ministry of Employment, Labor and Social Security in alignment with national priorities for employment generation, labor rights, and inclusive social protection. Key highlights of our work with the ministry include engagement, policy, and strategic development. On public engagement, VSO has co-organized International Labor Day and National Volunteers Days events with the ministry and promote decent work with inclusive messaging and youth-led participation. Because volunteering is key to national development, we improve the workforce through volunteers. Over the years, we have been able to train, recruit over 2,000 volunteers in Sierra Leone and place in different districts to support education programs, health, and livelihood. Our volunteering services run for a period of 2 years, where we recruit skilled, professional, and experienced volunteers. And after their service, these volunteers have the opportunity to be placed in different employment sectors, which means they have the opportunity to be in the mainstream and serve as full-time employees, and some employers. This takes us to another work with the ministry in ensuring we have an enabling environment for volunteer better services. We engage the ministry to collaborate with other partners and ensure we have a policy, a volunteering policy that can actually protect, support, recognize the value volunteers bring to national development. And today, we have the first time ever national volunteering policy developed with the support of the ministry. And this policy will not just stop at being developed, but we want to commit to the ministry and the government of Sierra Leone that as our organization that value volunteering will ensure that the policy is implemented and will provide all the necessary support needed to ensure that all other related activities that will enhance the smooth implementation of the policy is being supported by our organization. As we celebrate today the National Labour Conference by shaping the future of work, we knew we cannot shape the future of work without a volunteering policy. And we cannot shape the future for better services if we do not build the workforce of our volunteers. So with this, I would like to say a big thank you to the government of Sierra Leone, the Honorable Minister, that we are happy to be part of this maiden event, and we look forward to shape a brighter future of work for our volunteers. Thank you.
Thank you, representative from VSO. Ladies and gentlemen, migration has become a global phenomenon. It's the biggest debate and argument. Right from the Sahel Desert across the Mediterranean Sea. Permit me to welcome a representative from the International Organization for Migration to make a statement. A round of applause, please.
Vice President, Honorable Minister of Labour, Social Security and Employment, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to stand on protocols and say that it's a pleasure and an honor for IOM to be in this forum and to join the Ministry and the Government of Sierra Leone during this maiden edition of the National Labour Conference 2025. And this event marks an important milestone. The collective strives towards effective coordination, synergizing our efforts, and reiterating our commitment to shaping the future of work in Sierra Leone. The future of work is right at our doorstep, as previous speakers have said, and the future of decent work is now. And that which ensures that workplace security, social protection, and better prospects for personal development and social integration is guaranteed on. As such, this conference provides a platform to evaluate the current state of the labor market, understand the emerging national and global trends, and seek an avenue for protection and promotion of workers' rights, including migrant workers, to categorize and contribute to national development. The world of work is currently undergoing major global transformations. And taking into consideration the massive technological advances, emerging trends in labor migration patterns, varying models of work that are shaped by digitization and remote work, we cannot be left behind as Sierra Leone, and it is fitting for the nation to be part of this transformation. And therefore, reshaping the labor force to meet the present-day realities must be the goal for all of us present here today. The theme of this inaugural conference sets the stage and underscores the need to create an enhanced work ecosystem that contributes to national development. Promoting decent work is a key component of the 2030 agenda, particularly as highlighted in goal number 8, which has direct links to labor migration, as well as important connection between employment, inequality, and migration. Consequently, policy instruments and laws should ensure that migrant workers who are seeking opportunities abroad should be protected, promoting their regular, safe, and orderly migration, and ensuring that those who return are integrated into their societies and into their communities in a humane and dignified manner, and providing the necessary market-driven skills and development for young people entering the labor market. As already mentioned, human mobility has not been more central in major global transformations than today. In Sierra Leone, labor migration continues to shape the country's economic, social, and cultural landscape. And with its increase in population of young people pursuing opportunities for growth, when we navigate this with precision and proper planning, labor migration or labor mobility can and will contribute to a national development through poverty alleviation and spurring economic growth, as well as catalyze investment, trade, knowledge exchange, as well as scholarships and study grants for students. This, in turn, reduces the risk of many young people who, over the years, have fallen victim to human trafficking and migrants smuggling. I wish also, on behalf of IOM, to applaud efforts of the government of Sierra Leone through the Ministry of Labor for the great efforts in shaping the future of work in Sierra Leone through updating and developing national policy instruments to support the efforts to make sure that migrants and workers are protected at all times. However, or in addition, as we gather here, we need to acknowledge and embrace the fact that to shape the future of work in Sierra Leone, we must create an enabling workforce that is inclusive and right-based, and the rights of workers at the center of its policies and implementation. The youth should have access to skills development and training to ensure that they are able to meet with the ever-changing workforce demands, are socially protected, and that the workers are strengthened. Those that wish to migrate to other countries in a proper manner using the already established regular pathways. This, therefore, means that all of us present here have some work to do, and this dialogue presents us with an opportunity to reshape that roadmap and make sure that robust partnerships are established and that we all endeavor to create sustainable and jobs for all in Sierra Leone. In conclusion, I would like to say that IOM continues to remain committed to working closely with the government, as we have done since 2001, to ensure that government partners, civil societies, organizations, youth network, migrant organizations, and communities are able to achieve a whole government and a whole of society approach to address opportunities in the labor market, as well as providing necessary labor migrants and in the diaspora. I thank you for your attention, and I keep fruitful deliberations.
Thank you, our representative from IOM. Ladies and gentlemen, we say no to temple run. We say no to temple run. The future of work is bright. Thank you. Please make the future is still bright. Let there be light. Thank you. Put your hands together. Make welcome Employers Federation representative. It's better late than never. Ojokolia. 3-minute statement, please.
Good morning. I'm the Vice President. All protocols observed. Is that first, I've been at the radio station since with another delegation. Unions. We have been talking on the radio and I just left the state. I left there and came straight to this meeting after so many calls. But it was useful we went to the radio and television because now people are aware of what we're doing here. They thought maybe this is exclusively for big people, men, to discuss. But now that we've been on the radio station, they have been informed. Good morning again. It is an honor and privilege to be here at this Labour Conference where we are all prepared to listen and to join hands. For one thing, to make the labour situation better in this country. Employers Federation represents all employers in the country by way of sitting at the table for them, advocating for employers and getting their own views and points, for which we prepare a wish list of issues that we are bringing to the table. Employers Federation ensures that we translate what we hear or what we discuss with the social partners, the unions and the government. We translate it to the employers for them to act on and to be aware of what is happening. We must say we are grateful for the ministry for having championed new laws. Since 2023, the Employment Act, the Industrial Relations Act and Trade Unions Act in 2024, and also the Work Permit, the Migrant Workers Act. All of these things are gearing us, employers, to know what to do in the circumstances we face. The problem we have right now is disseminating these provisions to all over the country. Even if you are in the farthest point of the country, you should know what has changed. And this is the process that we are engaging on. We want to assure this particular conference that we have so many issues that the employers all have, because doing business in Sierra Leone is very difficult. We complain mostly about energy. We complain about the change in cost. But these things are things that we need to dialogue on. And we want you to keep the table open for us to continue to dialogue. Because now the future of work is happening this year, and technology will come into play. And when technology comes into play, we have artificial intelligence. There will be reduced numbers of workers in certain areas. So workers need to retrain. The education system needs to produce the kind of workers the employers will need. The skill gaps have to be closed by bringing the right workers that will be enabled and will have the skills to work with us. So we cannot play with the importance of creating decent for Sierra Leoneans, but we need to make the foundation strong. We commit as employers to supporting the reforms, inclusive of gender responsiveness and adaptability. These are the things that we will enshrine with employers to look at and to be relevant to the future of work. Ladies and gentlemen, this forum, good, and please let me make good use of it. I thank you all for your attention, and God bless you.
Thank you, Albert Ojokole. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to hear from the voice of experience, a living labor legend. Salary issue is one of the biggest discussion, wages and compensation. Permit me to welcome the chairman for the Wages and Compensation Commission, Alpha Usman Timbo, former Minister, Ministry of Employment, Labor and Social Security.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Honorable Vice President, Minister of Employment and Social Security, Sister from the ILO panels, Ministers of Government, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I want to join the previous speakers in thanking you very much for honoring this very important program, and to thank the Vice President and the leadership of the Ministry of Employment, Labor and Social Security for this brilliant initiative. As we continue to see the transformation in the world of work, the idea of establishing or organizing a national labor conference, particularly the theme that has to do shaping the future of work, is very commendable. And for me, as a former Minister of Labor, I believe when we talk about shaping the future of work, the first thing that has to do is to make sure you have the appropriate legal and regulatory framework. That is why we have to commend ourselves for making sure that we took proactive steps in ensuring that we review the labor laws, coming with the Employment Act, the Overseas Migrant Work. We also have the Work Permit Act, and a number of legislations, including the Industrial Relations and Trade Union Act, I think has been passed now. We still have a few more legislations to be passed to ensure that, in terms of ensuring a cumulative, a holistic look at the future of the world of work, for those legislations to be passed. So I want to kindly request the Vice President to support the Minister so that the outstanding legislations are passed, to ensure that when it comes to matters of implementation, we have the framework that is completed. As the chairman said, I am now the chairman for the Wages and Compensation Commission. All what we are talking about, when we want to talk about the dignity in labor, we talk about compensation. And it has taken the leadership of this country, the President and the Vice President, to make sure that a bold decision is taken to ensure that the Wages and Compensation Commission is established. Somebody was saying the products of education, the beneficiaries are more the private sector. After having very good people from the universities, most times people try to go away from the public sector because of the current pay structure, and they go to the private sector. In order for us to continue to attract qualified people in the public sector, that's why the Wages and Compensation Commission is established. And it's established primarily for three main reasons. One, to determine the public pay structure, and secondly, to harmonize it to ensure that we have equity and merit, and thirdly, to consider other related matters. For your information, the number of distortions have taken place over the years when it comes to determining the compensation in the public sector. For instance, some of the distortions emanate from Office of the President, where you see the President appoint an individual, and they say your terms and conditions of service will be communicated to you. There has not been an appropriate system mechanism that determines that. So we find out that the terms that is applicable to Mr. A is not applicable to Mr. A. That's number one. Apart from that, also the Constitution of Sierra also makes provision for distortions by virtue of the provisions that are contained in the Constitution. For instance, the Honorable Vice President seated here is the chairman of the Police Council. The police submit, look at their welfare. Most times, if they are determined by virtue of the strategic position in government, it's very difficult for Minister of Finance to resist implementation. The same for the President, the Defense Council. He chairs that one also. So when matters are presented, we find out that after it has been approved, It's very easy for the Ministry of Finance. Or the poor ministers sitting here, most times do not have a framework where their salaries and terms and conditions of service at the time. That is why most of them sit here. I pity them. I have just come from that particular. So, my commission is to make sure that we come and harmonize those discussions with the view to ensuring there is equity and merit. So without any, before I conclude, I just want to say that the issue of social dialogue is as important as any aspect of government. And this I consider as a national dialogue. Dialogue continues up to the lowest level of the employment scale. That is why trade group negotiating councils are established with a view to ensuring that workers themselves participate in the dispute resolution mechanisms in their establishment because they know their problems better. So this aspect is meant for us to look at the general picture with a view to ensuring that it is institutionalized. And I want to end up by saying that any dialogue must be frank. Two, it must be concrete. See, many times people come out of dialogue, they negotiate, people disagree. This is not what we said. This is not what we discussed. So it has to be concrete. Apart from being concrete, sometimes some activities have to be time-bound. You know, you hear people saying, we have been doing this, we have been doing that, over 4 years, 5 years. So there are certain activities that must be time-bound, and they must be implemented, and at the end of the day, evaluated. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity, and I really want to commend the Minister and the leadership of the Ministry and the Vice President for this innovation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Freetown, thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, sit back, relax. We're about to climax. The atmosphere is just radioactive. Yes. That's a view of the Acting Commission of Labour anyways. Please help me. Permit me to welcome the most progressive and innovative minister in our time to make a statement. Our Minister, my Minister, Mohamed Rahman Swahili.
Honorable Vice President, Honorable Vice President, His Excellency the Chinese Ambassador, colleague ministers, our dear friend, sister and colleague from the ILO Abuja office, who flew all the way to be here, most heartily welcome and thank you for that very insightful and thought-provoking presentation. I also want to note and welcome all the distinguished guests in the house. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Today, we gather at a defining moment in our nation's history as we convene the first ever National Labour Conference in Sierra Leone. This is not just another event. This is not just another event. It is a groundbreaking milestone that reflects our collective resolve to address the pressing challenges of our labor market and to chart a future of prosperity for all Sierra Leone. From the outset, let me echo His Excellency President Dr. Julius Madapios Clarion call. We must believe in and operationalize the transformative power of decent, dignified, and sustainable work. I wish to extend my sincere appreciation to our valued social partners, the Sierra Leone Labour Congress, and the Sierra Leone Employers Federation for their steadfast support and commitment to shaping the future of work. My heartfelt thanks also go to the hard-working team at the Ministry, our development partners, our sponsors, and every individual whose contribution has made this historic conference possible. It is fitting that we come together under the theme, Shaping the Future of Work, innovation, technology, and just transition. This theme captures both our ambition and our sense of urgency. It stands as a beacon of hope and a call to action, underscoring our determination to harness innovation, foster inclusivity, and build a just and equitable labor environment where no one is left behind. Importantly, it reminds us that the future is not something that simply happens to us. It is something we must actively shape, together with vision, courage, dedication, and determination. Distinguished guests, friends and colleagues, the fourth industrial revolution, fueled by rapid technological advancement, brings with it unprecedented opportunities. We have the potential to enhance productivity, the ability to open new industries, and the promise of improved livelihood for our people. Yet, it also presents formidable challenges. We face the potential displacement of workers due to automation, the widening gap between those with the skills of tomorrow and those left behind. I hear they call them BBC, born before computers. Yes, that BBC generation. Well, I don't know which one I belong to. I won't mention the Honorable Vice President. You know, well, we might have been born before computers, or we have adapted. We have tried not to be dinosaurs that can only be mentioned in pictures. We have grown with the times. Yes. And the urgent need to reskill, upskill, and future-proof our workforce. We must confront these realities with determination and foresight. As a ministry, we are fully committed to championing a just transition, one that ensures no worker is excluded, and that upholds decent work, fair wages, social protection, and respect for workers' rights. In doing so, we will safeguard the dignity of labor and lay the foundations for sustainable growth and shared prosperity. Ladies and gentlemen, the conference must be more than a conversation. It must be a platform for bold ideas, strategic partnerships, and actionable solutions. We do not wish for it to become yet another talk show. It must serve as a dynamic space for collaboration, an opportunity to spark and bridge ideas, share insights, and forge alliances that will drive job creation and progressive ideas and policies. Today, our employment landscape presents both challenges and opportunities. Persistent labor underutilization and underemployment, often resulting from a mismatch between the skills produced by training institutions and the demands of the labor market. The rapid revolution of technology, requiring a fundamental shift in how we prepare our workforce for emerging industries, and the critical need for stronger partnerships between training institutions and employers to ensure our graduates possess relevant, market-driven skills. To address these challenges, we must align skills development with market demands. We must strengthen linkages between education providers and industry. We must invest in continuous learning, professional development, digital literacy, and innovation. And we will need to ensure that our policies are grounded in lived realities of workers, from bustling cities to the most remote communities. Distinguished participants, in conclusion, let me reiterate that this conference offers a rare and historic opportunity to forge a new social compact among government, employers, workers, and development partners to tackle employment challenges with innovative solutions. I expect us to further explore how to develop homegrown, context-specific strategies tailored to Sierra Leone's needs, and how to connect training institutions with employers to ensure alignment between educational outcomes and labor market expectations. Most importantly, the goal is to position Sierra Leone as a forward-looking nation, prepared to engage both the challenges and opportunities of the future of work. I urge all of us to participate with open minds, creative thinking, and a shared sense of responsibility and urgency. Let us leave this conference inspired, united, and equipped with a clear roadmap for action. Let us commit ourselves to building a Sierra Leone where every citizen, regardless of background, enjoys success to decent work, equal opportunity, and a brighter future. Thank you, distinguished colleagues. May our deliberations be fruitful. May God bless our workers. May God bless the Republic of Sierra Leone. So thank you very much.
Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. Let us all welcome Dr. Mohamed Jude Jallo, the Honorable Vice President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, as he gives the keynote address and also launches the National Labour Conference 2025.
Thank you very much. Let's sit down. Honorable Ministers, Ambassador, the People's Republic of China, participants, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Today, I am very delighted to be here and to make a statement at this maiden National Labour Conference. I am particularly pleased to see that we are here today. The idea of the conference and the Labour Dialogue was conceived last year during the May Day celebrations, when I usually participate and represent His Excellency in those celebrations. I am overwhelmingly bombarded by Employers Federation and Labour Congress with a catalog of complaints. So I told the minister on my side, I said, Mr. Minister, why don't you create a space and a platform where we can go and discuss these complaints and grumbling, because May Day is supposed to be a day of celebration, not a day of complaint, so that we can shift the complaint aspect of the May Day celebration for another day, and then on May Day we celebrate workers and their resilience. So this platform is more or less an institutionalization of complaint and grumbling. That is what we are doing here. We have tried to institutionalize it so that we have the space, we have the platform to discuss issues. But it is much more than that. Because when I look around since yesterday and I see the catalog of issues that were highlighted by the Employers Federation and the Labour Congress, I realize the importance of the social dialogue and this conference. This conference, I must say, is part of our broader efforts by government to create space for a tripartite dialogue by the Labour Congress, the Employers Federation, and government. Although the tripartite dialogue has a long history of engagement, this platform is a novel vehicle, it's a new vehicle designed to create a broader and more institutionalized forum where we can discuss the future of work. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I must say at this stage that this is also in line with the ILO Convention 144 that was ratified by 158 countries, underlining the importance and the imperative for government, workers and employers to come together to discuss issues of common interest as it relates to work conditions and social justice. And at this point, I want to take the opportunity to thank our sister from the ILO office for the importance that ILO attached to this. Thank you, my sister, for coming all the way from Abuja to be part of this maiden conference. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the labor and employment landscape over the decades has seen a lot lot of ups and downs. Like Mr. Timbo said, we have to be frank to discuss some of these ups and downs. But, however, we are optimistic that this forum, this platform, particularly a platform of this nature, which put into perspective this context, and more so, carve a new pathway for employment and labor discussions in this country. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I may not be here in the next couple of hours when the panelists will be exchanging ideas on the future of work, but I'm just going to give you some of my perspective that I hope will future into those discussions. How do we tap into the potential of the informal sector? How do we constantly reduce the cost of labor to enhance competitivity in our growing economy? I must tell you, a couple of years ago in the 70s and 80s, and even the large part of the 90s, most Western industries go to China because they thought labor was cheap. And in the last 10, 15 years, because of the cost of labor in China, most of those companies are now relocating to Eastern Asia because labor is getting very expensive in China. What does that tell you? It tells you that any government must be mindful of the cost of labor, because the cost of labor can constitute a disincentive for investment. It can also reduce competitivity and the level of employment. Another issue, what kind of tax regime that can support employment opportunities while at the same time enhance labor conditions. Often and not over the last couple of years as a guest to the May Day celebration, these are some of the issues that employers continue to raise. So I hope this opportunity today, some of these issues will be discussed to see how government can come in and design a tax regime that can be favorable to employment and at the same time improve labor conditions. Equally so, how do we get the banking sector to make a shift or a transition from banking, from financing, transaction financing to project financing? More often than not, whenever I have the opportunity to engage the West Africa Bankers Association or the banking sector, I usually accuse them of not helping the investment environment in Sierra Leone with very high interest rates. And I saw that in one of the discussion panels, this is something that will be discussed, and this is something that is of great interest to government. So we look forward to that, because if we encourage the banking sector to support project financing, then we are going to be able to make inroad into creating decent jobs and employment opportunities. Also, where and how can government better support the employers and labor unions? Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want you to note that this government, we want to reiterate our commitment to unleash the potential of the private sector, the productive capacity, the productive sector, because we believe that the productive sector holds the key to job creation. And I'm convinced that labor unions and employers are vital to supporting government to unleashing the potential of the productive sector. During the first term of His Excellency's administration, we focused essentially on human capital development, prioritizing education, health, and governance issues. Today, when we look back, we are very proud of what we have achieved in the education sector. As a government, today, if you go to any village in this country, you'll find 9 out of 10 kids are in school. We continue to build additional classrooms. We have employed over 11,000 teachers since 2018 in this country, and we still want to scale up the ratio of teacher to pupils. Today, more than any other time in the history of this country, we have more girls in basic secondary school than boys. And we have more girls studying science in university than any other time in the history. So we are pretty satisfied. And that is a sector where we continue to put 22% of our budget. When in 2018 we came, the health budget was at 6%. We progressively increased that to 11.2%. We are aware that we are still behind the Abuja Declaration of 15% that says every sub-Saharan African country should spend 15% of its budget on health, but we have made huge progress. Today, we have been able to scale up the number of healthcare workers, and by sub-Saharan African standard, we are doing very well. The number of nurses to patients, although we are still a little bit below when it comes to the ratio with regards to the number of doctors to patients, but more than any other time, we are turning out now 150 to 200 doctors per year in this country, which was not the case a couple of years ago. I will not talk about the governance reform, women empowerment, that today more than any other time, we have more women as ministers, we have more women in parliament, and we have, you can see the number of women there, ministers there, they are even more than the 30% that His Excellency said that are present here. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in the second term, our focus is essentially on the productive sector. Why I am giving you this? I'm trying to tell you that if you want to talk about job creation, if you want to talk about the future of work, we as a government, we want to situate that within the context of the 5 big game changers, which means the productive sector holds the future for that. And to do that, I will just focus on 3 key areas that the Employers Federation and other speakers before me have mentioned. We are investing, we are trying to build the needed infrastructure. In key areas, one is energy. We want people to know that over the years, we have increased generation in this country, but because of the expansion and the need in energy, we have been unable to meet the need. If you take Western area alone, when we took over government, Western area had less than 60 megawatts. And the peak demand for Western area is about 150 megawatts. We have progressively increased that to 85 megawatts, but it is still largely insufficient. We are investing in transmission because the line that we have today is a line that cannot take more than 71 megawatts from the upcountry. So we are building a new line that is called, that is the 117 line that will take 117 megawatts in the next couple of months. No, we have to do that. But like I said yesterday, the challenges in the energy sector is across 3 areas. It's generation, it's transmission, and more importantly, it's commercialization. The utility. The utility, EDSA, has not been doing well over the years. We have serious and large commercial and technical losses. Most businesses and private homes don't pay or bypass meters. And if you don't have money to pay for generation, because government is not producing all the electricity, we have to buy. We buy from Cote d'Ivoire, we are buying from Tapa. And EDSA is not doing very well. That is why, as a government, we have called for what we for the private sector participation in the energy space. We have invited private sector to come into the energy space across 4 levels: in generation, in transmission, distribution, and commercialization. We hope that in the next couple of months we'll be able to create and make inroads. And we know how energy is vital to businesses and job creation. In the area of roads, we have been able to build roads, bridges to enhance connectivity. And the focus for our road construction is essentially to the ecologies. What does that mean? We are trying to build roads that connect big, growing, and planted areas that are agriculturally and productively high, so that at least when investors come, they don't need to struggle to move their market. So that is the kind of infrastructure we are building. We have made massive expansion in digitalization. I was just making reference to what our sister from ILO was saying, and the Employers Federation and the Minister of Labor. Today, you cannot shy away from the digitalization and the AI revolution across the world. But Sierra Leone, since 2019, we have done extremely well in that space. I give you some figures. Between 2019 and 2023, fiber backbone, we have increased that to 80%. We have moved from 8 districts to 14 districts that now have fiber connections in this country. We have increased mobile network coverage across this country by 76% between 2019 and 2023. We have increased mobile network coverage as well. When you take the 2G coverage, we are now at 96.8%. When you take the 3G coverage, we are also at 96%. 4G, we are at 87%. And currently, we are piloting the 5G in this country. We have increased the number of people that are using mobile phone between 2019 and 2023 from 1.2 million to 2.273 million. And in the next couple of days, we are going to expand that because we are supporting mobile networks to build new sites. That is the expansion we are making in the digital space. One key area I want to round up on is the Feed Salon initiative. I am very pleased the Minister of Agriculture is here. Agriculture is the future of job creation. Make no mistake. And why this is very important to us? It is important to us for several reasons. One, for economics analysis. The sub-Saharan African average on food importation is 15%. Between 2016 and 2022, Sierra Leone spends about 23% of our import is on food alone, which means we are 8% higher than our sub-Saharan African counterpart, which means Sierra Leone is spending more money to import food. And in Asia, the percentage is 7%, and in Latin America is 7.2%. When you have a country like Sierra Leone with very fine geography, fantastic vegetation, we don't see any reason why we should spend 23% of our import in food. His Excellency decided that I'm going to dedicate my energy in this second term on the Feed Salon initiative, which is essentially to increase domestic food production so that we can lower our dependence on food importation. When you do that, you are able to reduce the cost of food, you are able to increase access to food, and then more importantly, you are able to create employment opportunities. In the last 1-2 years alone, according to the recent food inflation index released by the central bank, We have reduced from 23%, we are now between 21%. So it shows that the Feed Salon initiative is building gains and the momentum is there. But the beauty about it is that for quite a long time, successive governments in this country have seen agriculture as a government-driven initiative, which means government has to buy free fertilizers, free machines. That is why in this new philosophy under Feed Salon, we are encouraging private sector participation so that private sector becomes the domestic food production. And we are sure, we are confident that in that chain from production to processing and commercialization holds the future for youth jobs in this country. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have taken sectors before that are sectors that consume resources but do not produce resources. We have moved them from those areas and we have placed them in the productive sector. One of these is tourism. For far too long, tourism in this country has been seen as just a ministry for entertainment. No, for us, tourism is now part of the productive sector. Tourism holds the future for job creation and increased government revenue. So I want to thank the Minister of Tourism that is here with us. She has been piloting that. We now have a strategic framework, a national action plan on moving tourism to the productive sector. Another key sector is the marine resources. In the last 4 years, the Ministry of Marine and Fishery Resources has been one of the highest contributing ministry to revenue. They are doing extremely very well. Why I am saying all of this is because our government have realized the importance of unleashing the potential of the productive sector, because that is where we believe that we will be able to create more jobs, and that sector holds the future of job creation. So for you to talk about the future of jobs, there must be jobs. So we are creating the enabling environment to do that. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, enhancing competitivity and creating a favorable labor market and employment condition is central to President Julius Maada Bio's job creation vision. And I'm confident that this platform should put all of this into proper perspective so that at the end of the day, we are able to get a plan of action here that government will scrupulously oversee its implementation. I want to take this opportunity to assure all of you that we are looking forward to the outcome of this conference. We will make sure that such platforms, like the Labour Congress colleague said, becomes a future, a permanent future of our development and governance landscape. On that note, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I take this opportunity to officially launch the maiden conference and declare the National Labour Conference 2025 open, and I wish you successful deliberation. Thank you very much.
Much. Thank you. Thank you so very much. We also want to recognize in our midst honorable ministers in attendance, deputy ministers in attendance. Let us give them a round of applause, please. You've taken time out to visit today. We are grateful. Thank you. Thank you. That brings us to the end of the opening ceremony. We want to have a group photo, and that will be limited, just the high table and the speakers. So, and then we're also asking the ministers to join in. And Chinese ambassador, please. VSO representative, Employers Federation to join the high table. And the chairman, WCC. Group photo. Media, please.
Okay, so please, all ministers, deputy ministers can join the high table for the group photo, please. And heads of parastatals, local content agency, please. Yeah, please, sir. Sure. Yeah, so the next photo is for all the panelists to join the Vice President and the facilitators. Mr. Chairman Kamara, please, can come on board. Chairman Kamara. Chairman Kamara. Yes. All the panelists and the facilitators, please join the Vice President for a photo op. Please. And the organizer, Thompson, Tasinebo Kari, and myself.
So the panelists, please. So the panelists and the facilitator, please join the Vice President. Ladies and gentlemen,